These aircraft were real. Some flew, some killed. Some were destroyed before they could be studied. Not by enemies. By the governments that built them. This is every banned military aircraft. Explained. From the Cold War to conflicts happening right now, every major military power has built something it later decided the world wasn't ready to see. Some were banned by international treaty, some by their own militaries, and some because what they could do had no legal framework that could contain it. This is every banned military aircraft. Explained. The Horten Ho 229 was not an experimental aircraft in any sense that word ordinarily implies. It had no fuselage, no tail, no vertical surface of any kind, just a pure wing with 2 jet engines buried inside it. It was built in 1944, 70 years before stealth technology was supposedly invented. The shape you're looking at right now, the Northrop B-2 Spirit, the most advanced stealth bomber America operates today, is the same shape, built by 2 brothers in Nazi Germany. From wood. Tests conducted by Northrop in the 1990s confirmed it. The carbon construction absorbed radar, unintentionally. In 1944, Allied forces captured 1 prototype in April 1945, 9 days before the war in Europe ended. It was confiscated, shipped to the United States, and never publicly discussed for 30 years. The aircraft that made stealth possible was classified by the country that captured it, because understanding how it worked meant admitting they hadn't thought of it first. The CF-105 Arrow was the finest interceptor aircraft ever built. That is not a subjective assessment. In 1958, it flew faster, higher, and further than anything the United States Air Force was operating. Faster than fighters designed 15 years later. On February 20th, 1959, the Canadian Prime Minister canceled the entire program. 6 completed aircraft, 14 more in production, all of them ordered destroyed, not mothballed, not transferred. Destroyed, every airframe, every blueprint, every engineering drawing, cut apart with torches and sold as scrap metal. The engineers who built it were hired by NASA within months. Several went on to work on the Apollo program. Canada canceled the most advanced aircraft on Earth and handed its engineers to the country that would land on the moon. The scrap metals sold for less than the cost of 1 day's production. The SR-71 Blackbird was not banned for what it could do to an enemy. It flew at Mach 3.3, fast enough to outrun every surface-to-air missile ever fired at it. Over 4,000 missiles attempted. 0 hits. The standard evasive maneuver when a missile was detected was to accelerate. It operated at the edge of space. The skin of the aircraft heated to 600 degrees Fahrenheit in flight. It was retired in 1998, not because it was obsolete. The official reason was cost. The actual reason remains classified. What replaced it has never been publicly acknowledged to exist. The fastest aircraft ever built was grounded. What flies those same missions today moves faster and has never been photographed. In 1947, Jack Northrop built a flying wing bomber that looked exactly like the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber the U.S. Air Force flies today. He built it 42 years earlier. The Air Force ordered 35 aircraft, then canceled the contract. The Secretary of the Air Force awarded the bomber contract to a competitor, a company located in his home state. Jack Northrop requested a meeting. He was told his company would receive no further contracts unless he agreed to merge with a competitor and give up his designs. He refused. All prototypes were ordered destroyed the following year. In 1980, 30 years after his aircraft were scrapped, Jack Northrop was brought to Northrop Corporation and shown a classified photograph. It was the first image of the B-2 Spirit, his design, finally being built. He was 85 years old. He was crying. He died 8 months later. Soviet Union's MiG-105 does not appear in most Western histories of the Cold War. That is precisely the point. It was a spaceplane, a crude orbital fighter designed to launch from altitude, enter space, attack American satellites, and return to a conventional runway. Development began in 1965, 11 years before the United States announced the Space Shuttle program. It flew 8 test flights between 1976 and 1978, all classified, all successful. It was canceled in 1978 when Soviet leadership decided ballistic missiles were more cost-effective than orbital fighters. The surviving prototype sits in a Moscow museum. The display case has no label explaining what it was built to do. The visitors walk past it without stopping. The Republic XF-103 was designed to fly at Mach 3.7 and carry nuclear-tipped air-to-air missiles. At that speed, the cockpit would heat to temperatures that would kill the pilot, unless he was sealed inside a titanium capsule within the fuselage. With no direct view of the outside world, the pilot would fly entirely by instruments, inside a sealed metal pod, inside an aircraft moving at nearly 3 times the speed of sound. 6 years of development. $50 million in 1950s money. 0 completed aircraft. The XF-103 was canceled before it flew because the engineering required to build it exceeded what the materials of the era could survive. It was not ahead of its time. It was ahead of physics. The B-58 Hustler was the United States Air Force's first supersonic bomber. In 1961, it crossed the Atlantic in 3 hours and 19 minutes, a record that stood for decades. It was retired in 1970. Not because it was slow, not because it was obsolete. The B-58 destroyed 26 aircraft and killed 36 crew members during normal operations. The aircraft flew so fast and so high that ejection at operational speed was unsurvivable. The Air Force designed individual enclosed escape capsules to solve this. The capsules worked. The accident rate did not improve. It was an aircraft that demanded more of its pilots than its pilots could give. The fastest bomber ever retired, not by an enemy, but by the physics of what happened when something went wrong at Mach 2. The A-12 OXCART did not exist. Officially. For 25 years, the pilots who flew it could not tell their families where they worked. When one crashed in Nevada, the Air Force told the press it was a weather research aircraft. It was flying at 90,000 feet at Mach 3.2. The test program at Groom Lake, Nevada, is the direct origin of every Area 51 story ever told. The lights civilians saw moving impossibly fast at impossible altitude were not extraterrestrial. They were American, which, depending on your perspective, is more alarming. 12 pilots flew the A-12. 3 died in crashes that the CIA officially denied for years. Their families were told their husbands had died in accidents. The location, the aircraft, and the mission remained classified. It now sits in the CIA's private museum at Langley, a museum that is not open to the public, an aircraft that officially didn't exist, in a building most people don't know exists, commemorating a program the government spent 25 years denying. 8 aircraft, built by engineers who understood exactly what they were creating. Banned not by enemies, not by treaties, by the same governments that commissioned them, because some capabilities are too dangerous to acknowledge, and some truths are more powerful classified than known. The ones on this list were eventually declassified. The ones that weren't, you'll never watch a video about them.